Good morning. Good morning. You are here. How are you doing this Monday, everybody? Everybody, happy Monday. So, we are here today. As you know, we started last week with the Diamond Factor Experience show with yours truly, Barbara Beckley. But it's just not only me, I am going to be bringing epic people on, and we have experts like today. But before we do that, I want to start every day with a quote because I want us to just kind of have a foundation, especially on a Monday morning. The key to happiness is having dreams. The key to success is making dreams come true. And I have to say, this really resonates with me because right now, what I'm doing right now, bringing on people so you can see them, give them exposure, is my dream because I always like to show what I call the diamonds. So, with that said, let's get started, shall we? I love that music from that intro. I don't know, something about it just gets you all pumped up, especially on a Monday. So, with that, I want to just really quickly, because since this is a new show, I want to kind of lay out the land here for everybody. So, what I really wanted to start with this show is to show empowerment, help, bring empowerment to people, also awareness, and just basically giving you some golden nuggets and tips to help you move forward. As we all know in this day and age right now, especially this year, 2020, the year of vision, right? I really wanted to bring it home to people because a lot of people are dealing with different things right now. And I know that it sometimes, some days is not as happy as you can be. I know there's been a lot of losses. The economy's been kind of crazy. And then you have the racial tension. And then on top of that, we had that election that just happened, which, by the way, we now at least know who our new president is in the United States. So, with all that said, I wanted to make sure that we have to keep the momentum going in our lives. We have to keep pushing forward no matter what's going on around us. And I always say that is that you have to keep here, you have to keep your peace. So you have to keep your peace, you have to keep your focus, and no matter what's happening, because I always tell people, I don't care what changes happen, you still have to do your dreams. Just like I said earlier, you have a target with your goals, and you have to consistently move forward in that area. So with that, this is what we're bringing the goods here. And I come on Mondays, I come on Wednesdays, and I will be coming on Friday morning. So 3 days out the week, you will see, yes, me pumping it up here and really giving you the energy. So before we start, I want to make sure we have to make sure we give our sponsors their due. And then after that, you will see a video by our expert, our weekly expert, Iqbal Acha. He's going to be coming on. And once you see his video, then you will be hearing the next voice you'll be hearing after that is Iqbal. So with that said, let's give our sponsors a little time here.
Hey, good morning, Barbara. Good morning, everyone. My name is Iqbal Acha. I am a career consultant, leadership coach, and personal branding expert. And it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be with you this morning. I want to touch base or really just touch on what Barbara was talking about just a moment ago. It's been a tumultuous year. We've had an opportunity to experience quite a few changes from, of course, the most obvious. The pandemic has really changed the way that we think, the way that we operate, and it really has impacted the way that we work. But we've also had quite a few other challenges throughout the year with racial tensions and then most recently the elections. Still, it's a Monday and we have to be positive as we start off every week, right? So I want to just take a moment and acknowledge that this past weekend was a historic moment for the country and really for the world. And I think no matter what side of the political fence you're on, red or blue, there is clear direction now in terms of in which way we are moving forward. And so I think it's important for us to always at least acknowledge and be aware of the surroundings and accept what the situations are. And again, embrace them as best as we can so we can make goals, we can make strategies, and we can move forward in helping ourselves and our loved ones move forward towards the goal of success. Today, I want to spend some time talking about resumes. Why am I talking about resumes today? Well, frankly, since the beginning of this year, as I said before, the pandemic has just changed everything. COVID-19 has changed the way that we play, the way that we live, the way that we interact with family, and no more so more apparent than in the workforce. In fact, earlier in the year, around February, before the coronavirus was even well known or well spread across the country, the United States reported a 3.7% unemployment rate. But by the time we hit May, which was around the first peak of the coronavirus, unemployment had shot up to 14.7%. That's four times, actually almost five times the amount of unemployment from the beginning of the year in less than 4 months. Now, there have been changes over the course of time. Restaurants have opened up, industries have sort of regained their footing and have restarted hiring, but not everyone has come back to that point. And in fact, the majority of people that have been let go have either been downsized, furloughed, temporarily laid off, and some of them are still in a situation today where their future is uncertain. And I bring that up today because in the people, in the conversations I'm having with individuals, what I'm learning is that the majority of people have not rewritten, revised, or reviewed their resume in 4, 5, even 10 years or more, because they felt that they were in a position of stability and in a position of security. And of course, their aspirations were to continue working with the company, either in that current position or to continue to climb the corporate ladder. And I want to talk to you about the resume because while the resume is still the number one tool that every job seeker, every current and potential candidate should have and review at least twice a year, it's important to remember that a resume cannot speak for you and cannot build a relationship for you. So resumes are simply a tool. Now, how we use that tool and how we use that tool to advance our careers, how we use that tool to open new doors, and how we use that tool to showcase our strengths and our skills, that's what we want to focus on. So if you know, in the current workforce today, there are literally 5 generations in the workforce. You have Gen Z, you have millennials, you have Gen X, you have baby boomers, and you have the silver generation. So members of these individual groups have different viewpoints in terms of how they learn, how they interact. But again, the majority of individuals have not reviewed, revised, or rewritten their resume in years. And there are things that have changed. So, for example, 5, 10 years ago, it was critical for everyone to put an objective statement at the top of their resume. An objective statement was simply a few lines of your perspective of what you were hoping to gain from the reader that was reading your resume. I will tell you that in today's day and age, an objective statement is not only useless, it's also detrimental because the reader whoever that may be, whether it is the recruiter, the hiring manager, or the vice president of a company that is reviewing your resume, is looking for skills, strengths, and expertise that's going to help them. And an objective statement is all about what you as the candidate is looking for. So we're going to talk about different aspects of the resume, how you should position each of these different sections on your resume, the 5 ways to boost your resume, and the 3 important things to absolutely avoid in your resume. Want to get started? I thought so. So let's go ahead. Of course, if you have any sort of word processing tool, such as Microsoft Word, or if you have a Mac, there are, of course, tons and tons of different software systems. I typically use a PC, and therefore Microsoft Word 2016 is my default and my go-to. If you don't have an operating system today, you can absolutely find a lot of free tools available online that will help you create your resume. And it's very important to know that, when you write a resume, you're going to need to give it some time and some thought and reflect on what you've done in the past few years or even longer. Recruiters, hiring managers, people that read your resume are not just looking for numbers and percentages or where you've worked and how long you've worked there. They're looking for a story. They want to find a gem, a diamond in the rough, so I would say, about in a resume that may be a pile of 100 or 250 applications for one job. And what they're looking for is somebody that can speak to their own experience and speak to their own expertise to be able to paint a picture of an intelligent, empathic, adaptive, and work-oriented or team-oriented player that can fit well with any organization. So the first thing to do really is to think about your career. Think about what you've done in the past few years. Jot down on a piece of paper, jot down on a piece of paper all the things that you feel that you have grown in. Maybe you've led a team. Maybe you've graduated very recently. Maybe you've led an organization. Maybe you've done fundraising, or you helped develop and coach and mentor a new employee. All of these things are things that you should write down on a piece of paper in terms of strengths and areas of expertise. And then on another side of the paper, you can be writing down things that you hope to gain from future employment. So I speak with many clients throughout the day and throughout the week, and a lot of them will come to the table explaining to me how their managerial skills are excellent in terms of managing people, managing change, creating vision, but they've never actually been responsible for a budget. And it depends on where they want to go, but sometimes that will be a very critical piece in terms of how they position themselves. So you can also write down a list of skills that you hope to gain from future employment. And certainly that can be a conversation piece as we move forward. Now, as you're writing all of these things down, you can also do research online. In fact, there are so many articles, topics, videos, websites, and even templates available online, which is good, but it can also be a little confusing because some of that information is a little outdated. I actually found an article a few days ago that was listed or actually put out on the internet in 2006. Things have changed since 2006. So I think it's important that when you look at all of the information out there, it can be overwhelming. And I hope that, of course, if you have questions, you're always able to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. I love answering your questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to do that. But when you have all of this information, it's important to identify, number one, the most up-to-date, relevant, recent information written by experts in the field. So if you are reading an article or watching a video from an expert that has been in talent acquisitions for 15 years, or has been recruiting people in your industry, or is currently employed as an HR manager or an HR director, these are people that you can trust in terms of what is currently the gold standard for their company and possibly for the industry as well. Now, when you're crafting a resume, there are going to be several sections that you will need to include in a resume. At the very top, of course, will be your name. there are new rules that have come about regarding your name, your address, and your information. In years past, it was common for you to not only list your name, but also to list your home address, your city, your state, your zip code, your phone number, and a variety of other icons and links to different social platforms in some cases. What I will tell you is, and this may be an alarming fact for some of you that are watching this today, but there is actually a study that has been done, I believe, by Career Builder or by ZipRecruiter that has indicated that for every 4 resumes that are submitted, only one of them is actually read by a human. That's right. 75% of all resumes are read by, scanned, and then sort of like averaged or graded by a computer. And I share that with you because for many of us, when we write a resume, we want to be able to make it look colorful, make it visually appealing, but also to be rich in content. Sometimes when we add icons such as pictures of a LinkedIn icon or a Facebook icon or a little picture of a phone, computers can't see that. And if a computer can't see that, it can't see the rest. And so I encourage you that when you're writing a resume, do not include pictures of phones, of computers, of icons, of LinkedIn, Facebook. Simple text. The second thing I will tell you is that you should always make sure that you only include in your address your city and your state. There's actually been several documented reports of for companies to be able to distinguish the distance between a candidate's home or residence and their office. And in some cases, not all, but in some cases, companies that have identified a vast difference over 25 miles have automatically rejected those types of resumes. So, in order to consistently stay within the margins, my recommendation is only add your city and your state. In addition to your header, you should also, and so you have your name, city, state, you should add your phone number, a place or phone number that is easily accessible by you and where recruiters and hiring managers can contact you. You should also include your email address, a professional email address. So if you have something that may be more inclined towards your hobbies, or it's an old college-based email address, I would recommend starting a new one. Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, Bing. A lot of these companies offer free emails and free email addresses. So if you don't have something that's professional, for example, iqbalatcha@gmail.com, then I would recommend you do that as well. The third line of your headline should include a link to your LinkedIn profile. Now, for some of you, you may be thinking, of course, that's absolutely natural. I should. For some others, may be thinking, I don't have a LinkedIn profile, or I have a LinkedIn profile, but it's really not up to par. My recommendation is include it anyway. As a recruiter, as a manager, and as a director of talent acquisition strategy, I would teach my recruiting teams to be able to go directly to a LinkedIn profile to assess that individual for their experiences, their education, and also to see what insights they've provided online as well. Even if you don't have anything, it shows that you're still able to have a profile available that over time you'll be able to add to. So the five major components to include in your header is your name, your city, state, your phone number, your email address, and a URL or a website to your LinkedIn profile. Now, the next step, it'll depend on where you are in your professional journey as well. If you are a brand new graduate, somebody that has just graduated from college or grad school, you will want to put your education at the top because your experience is not as rich as your education. So the most relevant piece for you will be to put your education at the very top, and then you'll be able to, showcase the different universities or schools that you've graduated from. Trade school, college, community college, four-year university, grad school, doesn't matter. If you've done the schooling, you should definitely use it as a tool. So education will be critical. If you've already graduated and you've been out in the workforce for 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, anything after graduation, your experience should come first. because that shows that you're actually utilizing either your skills, your knowledge, your training, and you've actually immersed yourself in an organization where you're able to apply those experiences and knowledge. And at the same time, you're working with other people to help advance organizational goals. There's a lot that can be broken down into these sections: education and experience. And again, more than happy to go in further into detail in future episodes, but for now let's just keep it at high level and we'll talk about experience and education. The next section that you should include, if you have these things, are to really talk about some of your certifications, awards, or licenses. So, for example, I'm a registered pharmacist by trade. I have an HR certification granted to me by both the Human Resources Certification Institute and the Society for Human Resources Management. Those are three separate certifications that I always include, or I used to include, on my resume. And I find that that is very helpful to distinguish myself from other professionals working in the same space. In other situations, I've come across people that have a certification from Microsoft. For example, IT professionals that have a Microsoft C++ certification. I've come across individuals that have a Toastmasters certification, so a competent communicator, a distinguished Toastmaster. Some of you may have even gone online to do a free Udemy course, or Google has actually a free certification for AdWords. Depending on who you are, depending on what your trade or your industry or your specialty is, always look for different certifications. And if you have them, be able to add them to your resume so that way it adds to your character and adds to your credibility when a recruiter or hiring manager sees them. The last thing I will share with you that I think that is critical or important to add to a resume as a section is your volunteer or affiliations with professional groups. Barbara and I both actually met each other through our leadership and our communication passions through Toastmasters International. And because of that organization, we've gone on to lead as directors in our District 30 area. I've also had the opportunity to be a member of the American Pharmacists Association, the Illinois Pharmacists Association, and a variety of other volunteer groups. For some of you, you may be thinking those are completely irrelevant to what I do. I don't, I love to take care of stray cats and dogs, and I actually volunteer at the animal shelter. What does that have to do with me? I'll tell you that it's very interesting because that is one element of your personality and your humanity that can come across in a recruiter or a hiring manager's time frame that they spend on a resume. In fact, it may also be alarming to you for you to know that recruiters and hiring managers are deluged with hundreds and sometimes thousands of resumes for one or even 10 job opportunities. And the sheer volume of applications that they receive guarantees that they are unable to spend hours on one resume. And in fact, another study that was published shows that recruiters on average spend approximately, get this, 6 seconds to review a resume. That means in 6 seconds, a recruiter or a hiring manager has to scan your information and look for pertinent, objective information that shows the achievements and awards and your experiences in the job force, and also to look for a personality behind that. And that is why I point out by adding volunteer groups, professional affiliations, and associations shows that not only are you a good, hard, dedicated employee, but you also have a passion for other things outside of the group that can help you build other skills and interact with other different people. So there are several sections that we've talked about: education, experience, certifications or licenses and awards. We've talked about volunteer and professional affiliations and associations as well. There's one last piece that really should have come first, but I felt that that was important for us to talk about the big things first. We've talked about how to place each of these sections on a resume. And depending on who you are and where you are in your professional journey, your education would come first or your experience section would come first. But preceding that, so between your header, between your top line with your name, your phone number, email address, and LinkedIn profile, and the first section, you should insert a career summary. Now, this is different than an objective statement. I mentioned this earlier, that an objective statement is something that really shows the reader what you're after. I'm looking for a position that will help me use my skills to help, help people in this space or in this industry, and this is what I want. And as I said before, recruiters and hiring managers aren't looking to how that they can help you. They're looking for the best talent out there to help their organization. And so by creating a paragraph, 4, 5 lines of a career summary, you are able in the top third of your resume to showcase your strengths, your skills, your experiences in a professional way that not only matches the job description, but also conveys to the recruiter and the hiring manager that you are an expert in this space, and it entices them to want to reach out to you for further questions. So we've talked about 5 separate things on a resume that can really help you boost or really how to design a resume. I want to talk about 5 things that can help you boost your resume. So again, everything that we've talked about is basically a standard expectation of how a resume should be constructed. Let's talk about 5 things that can make your resume incredible. So we talk about effective resumes, and I'll actually be putting this out on my social media. So if you want to take notes or if you want to look at that, you absolutely can. You will find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm calling it the 5 ways to boost your resume. The first thing that I will tell you is that above your career summary, you should list the exact title of the position you're applying to. So if you're applying to a manager, a pharmacy manager position, or you're applying to a manager of operations, or even like a line manager or line worker or a vice president, look at what the title is that has been written by the organization that you're applying to and insert that at the top. One of the reasons why I recommend that to my clients is because, again, 75% of resumes are not read by a human being first. They are read by a computer. And the computer is looking to match resumes with the job description that has been posted. So, for example, again, if you are applying to an HR business partner position, but you don't have an HR business partner experience, although you have similar skills, by adding HR business partner at the top, the computer will recognize that and identify you as they'll give you a check in the right column, and it will continue to scan your resume rather than reject it. So adding the title exactly as it is written in the job description to your resume helps you boost your resume. Let's talk about a career summary. As I mentioned before, do not do an objective statement. This is all about what you can do for them versus what the organization can do for you. And I want to make sure that a career summary is better than an objective statement. When you list your achievements, include specific percentages and numbers. Day-to-day responsibilities are understood across multiple platforms and across multiple positions. But what you've done in your role is what is going to distinguish you from the hundreds and thousands of other people that hold your title as well. So, for example, maybe you helped increase the profit margins for your organization by 200% in the last 12 months. That is objective numbers versus I'm expected to fulfill these responsibilities that are generic. Now, I have 2 more things, and we'll get to your questions, and definitely want to hear that. When you are looking at a job description, try to identify and integrate keywords that are specific to the job. So, for example, if you're applying to an HR business partner role or a recruiter role for one company, they will use a certain kind of word or certain words in an order that may be different than another organization. There are plenty of tools that are available online to use and scan those job descriptions for keywords. And based on the pattern and the frequency, you can help emulate that in your resume as well. And finally, when you submit your resume in an application, my strongest recommendation is do not do it in a Word or DocX format. Do it in PDF. And the reason is this, because you may have Microsoft Word, but your version may be 2010, their version may be 2013, and the next person's maybe 2016. And those slight variations can actually impact the formatting and impact the words that you see on a sentence that looks nicely, clearly constructed, looks very jumbled at the end. A PDF format will preserve the format as it is, and it can be shared across different platforms and different enterprises with no issues whatsoever. I hope all of this has been helpful. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to, I invite you to reach out to me anytime. Barbara, what do you think?
Awesome. It was thank you so much. I'm so glad you started off with resumes talking about that because I know now, really now, it's very important to like brush off, dust off because I was thinking about it. I said, I've been working where I work at for over 20 years. And some people feel like, well, yeah, I've been here, so I really don't have to. No, no, Iqbal is right. You have to have it ready because you never know when an opportunity is going to happen. You never know when you need it for other, other things besides just work because people are looking for resumes. I mean, I'm a speaker too. And sometimes they ask me for my work resume and my speakers, sheet. So yeah, it's really important to make sure that you have it updated and understand what should be in it, what the do's and don'ts, as Iqbal said. So thank you, Iqbal, for bringing that out. That really helped. I know it helped our audience a lot to make sure that their resume is, moving forward and what they're needed to do. So thank you
Absolutely.
so
It's
much.
been my pleasure. And I really just want to say one last thing, which is exactly what you just said, Barbara. You never know when an opportunity will present itself. And isn't it better to showcase yourself as an expert in a space by providing that person that asked for it your resume up to date in less than 24 hours? I think
Mhm.
that speaks volumes.
It does. It does. Well, Iqbal, thank you so much for coming on. Now, as everybody knows, he's our one of our experts. He comes on. He's been coming on every Monday, giving us some good tools and tips regarding career and personal development and all that good stuff. Things that basically we should be doing every single day. So, Iqbal, so if there's any questions, please, make the comments. But next week when we come on, he can always answer. I'll make sure I, talliate them and make sure that he needs to know that so he can research or whatever he needs to do. And then we'll get back to you on that. Like I said, he's a regular. So if you have questions, even, before he comes on, he can ask questions regarding this. So Iqbal, thank you so much again and happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thank you.
Okay, see you next Monday, Iqbal. You have a wonderful day today.
Thanks on you too. Bye bye.
See, I told you I'm bringing the experts on. So now, Iqbal, I'm telling you, he's awesome. Awesome. Listen to his tips. Listen to what he has to say. He has been in this field for so long and he knows how to move people, especially in career. He's been in HR, he's a specialist, he's a coach, he's a trainer, he's a speaker, everything. So, with that said, I will need to bring on our next expert. Well, he told me not to call him expert, but I feel like he's an expert. But he's a specialist in law enforcement. His name is Harlan McMath. He's going to come on for a few minutes to talk about some things regarding, laws, especially pertaining to when people have to, and he'll get more detail with this when they get stopped and then the breathalyzers and stuff in different states. So I wanted to I was thinking I need to bring some law enforcement type of thing on the show. Remember, I told you I'm about awareness. So you're going to be hearing some things about that. I feel like I need to kind of cover all avenues when it comes to awareness. So, but before I bring him on, I know my sponsors, they pay me. So let me put my sponsor on, and then we'll get right into meeting Mr. Harley McMath. Here we go. Okay. So that was the sponsor. In fact, I did my own sponsorship there. I also do interviews for women to make sure to have them shine. So I do individual interviews And I also make sure that I expose them to all different areas of social media. I help them coach. I do social media coaching and all that good stuff. So with that, you can always contact me through Messenger and we can have that talk. So with that said, let me bring on the next expert because of timing. And okay, yes, he is in the green room. I just wanted to make sure before I say he's there. He's a worker. He works all day outside. He's running around and stuff. So you're gonna see him in his car. And there he is. Can you
Hey,
hear
Barbara.
me?
Yes, how
Hey
are
Harlan,
you?
how you doing? How you doing?
It's a beautiful day in Georgia,
In the neighborhood?
and yes, it's nice and sunny, nice fall day. I'm doing great.
Good, good, good. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to come on the Diamond Factor Experience Show with yours truly, Barbara Beckley. And I did say last week I introduced a lot of the experts that are going to be coming on weekly. So we talked, and it looks like you're going to be one of the other. Well, you told me not to call you an expert, but you're the law enforcement specialist that will be coming on Mondays. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
That is correct. So, just to let everybody know, and we're gonna have some conversation here. Harlan McMath, he is very intelligent in the prison and in this let's see street law and also federal security law. I mean, just to add all his years that he worked in all those aspects is over probably 30 years of experience. So he knows a lot about criminal law. He knows a lot about the correctional center, all that stuff that I feel like is good awareness that people need to know. So every week he's going to bring in something to give us something regarding laws, regarding something that we really should know. And he's going to hit different states too, not just because I know he lives in Georgia, and he said he's going to start looking at different state laws too and giving us some information about that. So Harlan, tell us what your topic is today and share with us. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Uh-oh.
can you hear me, Barbara?
Yes. Okay, you're going in and out.
Hello.
Yep, I'm here.
Can you, can you hear me
I can
now?
hear you now.
All right. My topic today is about celebrating and over drinking. Basically, civilians are known as it being DUI or operating while under the influence of alcohol. And I focused on the state of Wisconsin because I believe that's where you reside. Am I correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Um, back in, I'm going to say back in 2005, the federal government passed a law that no one has to blow in the breathalyzers because at that time they found out that breathalyzers can't give you a faulty reading. Meaning, if the cops stopped me and I blew a 0.08, and for some reason they stopped someone else and they forgot to change the filter, that filter in the breathalyzer is going to still read part of my reading. And you may blow a 0.03, but I may still have 7% reading in there. So that will put you over the limit. And therefore
Okay,
you will get a DUI.
so Harlan, where your voice is going in and out. We can't really hear you that well.
Let me see if I can find a better location. Because I was headed to a small town in South Carolina to deliver some paperwork from one courthouse to another. So I'm kind of like in between towers. Can you hear
Okay,
me now? Is that better?
you're a little bit clear now.
What about now? Am I clear?
Yeah, you can go now. You're a little bit clear.
Okay. What I was saying is we're going to talk about DUIs today and breathalyzers. And I focused on the state of Wisconsin because that's where you reside. Correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Back in 2005, there was a federal law passed that no one can be made to blow in a breathalyzer because they have filters in them that detects the alcohol level in the soft tissues of your mouth. So when you blow hard, it brings up all the soft uh, food or Coca-Cola, whatever you've been drinking or eating in your mouth. And this filter's designed to read the alcohol content. But if they're in a rush and they forget to change that filter, say if I blow a 0.8 or 0.08, and then they turn around and stop you without changing the filter, even though it's a 15-minute wait period, that filter will still have some of my alcohol contents in it. So if you blow a 0.03, but that filter still has 0.6 of my alcohol content in it, it'll show you blowing a 0.09, which even though you're not legally drunk, by that reading, they would say that you are drunk. So I did a little digging in Wisconsin, and I found out that if you blow 0.04 in Wisconsin, you are considered drunk. So I went a little further and said, well, what would make a person drunk at 0.04? How much alcohol would that be? They said for a woman that weighs 100 pounds, that's an average of 4 drinks an hour. And then they went on to say it depends on your weight and your body mass on how your body consumes alcohol would determine how much is in your bloodstream. But the important part that got me was Wisconsin is one of the states where a DUI will affect your driving record for 10 years, meaning your insurance can be premium higher for 10 years. If you wanted to get a job as a truck driver or in a delivery service or LLC, such as FedEx or UPS, it can actually stop you from getting that job. Now, technically, they're not supposed to hold that against you, but when they do the background check, it's going to pop up. And in Wisconsin, it's hard to get that expunged from your record as well. Now, they did say on the good side, if you get a lawyer and you get a good lawyer, which that's going to cost money, you can actually beat some of these cases. But if you use a regular district attorney, even though the actual alcohol fee is between 150 and 300, when they add on the court fees and the laws and the penalties, you end up paying about $8,500 in your first year. Now, your second offense in Wisconsin under DUI will cause you to put the breathalyzer on your car where you got to blow into it before you can start your car and go to work or come home or go grocery shopping. So whenever you get in the car, they have this device that's connected to the column of your steering wheel. You blow into it. If it reads no alcohol, then you can start your car and go to work. If it reads alcohol, it's going to send a signal to the nearest police station to let them know that you're out there drunk driving, and your car won't start. So then you can be charged with a second or third offense, depends on what offense you're on. And the other good thing is, if you don't use a lawyer in Wisconsin, you're going to save about $2,000 in court costs, but that'll be eaten all back up with the fees and penalties that will get added on to your DUI when you go to Wisconsin. And once the police officer issue you a DUI, you have 10 days in Wisconsin to declare a hearing for your DUI. They don't automatically give you a court date for a DUI in Wisconsin. And that I did not know.
Wow. That's interesting. That is real interesting, especially the part about where if you breathe in or whatever in your car, and then if they find out that you have that alcohol content, that the car won't even start, and it's going to go straight to a signal's going to go straight to the police station to let them know that you are, dealing with that.
Right. So it's just amazing how even though there are federal laws to protect us, under certain circumstances, the states can still have their own laws. And since that law don't supersede the federal law, you can still be charged with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
It does.
on a good thing, Wisconsin is one of the states that don't report that to the National Drivers Database. So it's several states that don't report to National Driver Database. It's Wisconsin, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and 3 other states I can't call off the top of my head. So
Well,
if you did get one in Wisconsin and you moved to, let's say, California, and you get a driver license there, long as you don't get in trouble there, it shouldn't pop back up because Wisconsin don't report to the national data driving base that they have when You put your license in, they can see if you got tickets
Mm-hmm.
or outstanding driving offenses in another state.
Wow. But
So
you know what?
that's one of the good things.
Well, that's one of the good things. But the sad part about it is everything else that you just listed. That I mean, they got to go to court,
Well, of course,
and
because you
then your
want to
fees, your insurance pops up. I mean, it's,
yes, and if
no,
you don't
I was
go,
just saying that. Go ahead. I'm
if
sorry.
you don't if you don't call the courthouse in Wisconsin before 10 days after you get your DUI, your license can be automatically suspended and they can come take your tags off your car.
See that? Yeah.
So
So it's
that's other fees added on top if you don't keep up with the laws as far as DUIs in Wisconsin. And
very.
that's just the tip of the iceberg, because in Wisconsin, there has been episodes where a guy was drunk while cutting his grass on his lawnmower, and he ran into a ditch or something, and he got charged with a DUI. It's called DUI, permission on private property.
Wow.
So if you own like 12 acres and you're in your car out there making donuts because you're drunk on your 12 acres and you hit a tree, and for some reason law enforcement has to be called because you got injured, even though that's your private property, you can still get charged with a DUI. Amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's see that's why I really feel this is going to be a good segment every Monday for you to bring in this awareness of the laws and what goes on because now I live in Wisconsin. I mean, I don't drive drunk, but even though if I don't or not, it's good to know that. And you gave a lot
Well,
of good valuable information.
the other important part is knowing your personal limit. Because if you're not a drinker, you may drink one mixed drink, which may be, let's say, some gin and tonic or gin and 7 Up. And by you not being a drinker, your body will react different from someone who's the same weight that is a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the more you do something, the more you become immune to it. It's like getting uh, addicted to opium. So this is where the term alcoholic comes from, because your body gets to the point where you can't function unless you have a certain amount of alcohol in you, which is the
Mm-hmm.
same as if you're addicted to opium or strong pain medication. Your body will not want to function without the medication in it, because it's telling itself that I need this to go forward, because you didn't get your body used to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So also in Wisconsin, I did some more digging and found out that if you're under medication such as pain medicine or anything that can make you sleepy, nerve medicine, you can still get charged in Wisconsin, even though it's prescription medicine that you're up under when the cops stop you.
Wow.
It says if you're under strong prescription medicine, you should not be driving in Wisconsin, as you will get charged.
Well, I mean,
So for all
that
those
makes sense.
soldiers who got injured
Mm-hmm.
and war veterans who's been injured, and if you live in Wisconsin and you're taking heavy medications for your pain, even though you take it and you just want to drive to the VA, I advise that you get someone to drive you, because if you do get stopped, and even though you're under medication, they can still charge you legally by the Wisconsin law. And I found that to be very interesting when I pulled that up.
That is interesting because now, with your medication, it gets you in trouble. I mean, and you have
Yes,
to take the medication. I mean, you need it for your, what you're going through.
exactly.
But then again, I can
So
I can understand the other side of it too, Harlan, where if it's really heavy medication and it can cause you not to really function that well for driving, then maybe that's the safety measure of it.
yeah, but on most medications it says take at night. But again, that depends on your body weight and your body mass. And a lot of soldiers, we don't sleep a normal 8 hours. I'm ex-military. Uh, I sleep anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and I'm good. And sometimes I sleep less than that. Depends on what I got going on, and depends on what time I got to get up to do what I have to do.
Mm.
So it's important to know your medication and to know when to take your medication, determine on what you have to do for that day.
Awesome.
Because if not, you can end up in a whole lot of trouble just for doing what you're supposed to do to stay healthy.
Yeah,
So
yes.
it's like a catch-22.
It is
Do
like,
I
yeah.
deal with the pain while I'm at work, or do I take the medication before I go to work and take that chance?
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
usually, if you end up in a bad wreck, even if it's not your fault, when you go to the hospital, they still do a blood test. And that blood test tells them everything that's in your body, either legally or, or illegally. And then you can still be charged
Mm-hmm.
because
Wow.
someone hit you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people get charged and they weren't even at fault for the accident. They don't get charged for being in an accident. They
Mm-hmm.
get charged for the laws that are still currently on the books.
Wow.
And
Well,
a lot of people don't realize voting is a right,
mm,
and there are laws enacted among certain nationalities to vote. So when you get all these DUI laws put on books and they change, it's because someone voted those laws in. They just don't go change them on their own.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well,
So,
with time up, I'm gonna have to shorten it, but I just want everybody to know that Harlan will be coming on regarding like law enforcement items, just like he talked about today, every Monday around this time. So Harlan, thank you so much for coming on. And we will definitely see you next Monday with some other interesting information regarding, law enforcement and how that works.
and if you want to check out these Wisconsin DUI laws, you can put it up on Wisconsin DUI driving offense or Wisconsin DUI laws. And it'll pop up and it'll go down the list and it'll show you everything. And then you can open it up and dig deeper in that.
Thank you so much. Always good. Like I said, knowledge is power. So thank you so much, Harlan.
Yes,
We'll see you next Monday. Okay?
yes, and you have a good day. Let me go get this paperwork to the courthouse.
Okay, thank you. Bye. See, I told you I'm bringing the experts. Time is of the essence, though. I'm gonna have to give my experts more time. I see. So, with that said, please enjoy your Monday, and remember, as I said before, the quote when I started with, the key to happiness is having dreams. The key to success is making dreams come true. So let's start our Monday off by making sure your dreams are coming true by putting action to it. I always tell people you got to put action to it. And with that said, I will see you back on Wednesday with the Diamond Factor Experience with yours truly, Barbara Beckley. See you on Wednesday. Enjoy your Monday. Happy, happy Monday. Bye.